Let's talk tomatoes, pruning, trellising, and celebrating you.
I said tomatoes, not potatoes.
Today is Saturday, and you know what that means. We're going to go to you, and we're going to celebrate what's going on in your garden. We just came through a bunch of really heavy rain. Now it's a good time to look at the leaves on the tomatoes, and they're getting big enough, we're going to need to start trellising them. And this is what we do.
Now when we planted these, we pulled the mulch back down to bare soil, dug a hole, and planted them deep. Now they're growing pretty well, but by exposing that soil and mulching back, it's still not very thick, and you may still get a couple pieces of grass. So this is a good opportunity to clean up anything that may be growing in and around your tomatoes. I also have a couple bags. This is also a really good time to companion plant. And I like to companion plant beets. Has anybody ever said you can't have enough beets? And peanuts. Found this out 2 years ago. Peanuts do really well around your tomatoes. But before we get there, let's clean these up. Now to prune them, these bottom leaves, you don't want them touching the ground, and with the rain that we've had, we definitely don't want them touching the ground. So we just clip that off, toss it out into the mulch, clip that next one off. The rest of these look pretty good. Now we're going to start trellising these. The way you want to do that with the string is you need something to secure it to the ground. I like to use a stick or a little rock and just bury it a little bit into the ground. And the beauty about having deep mulch, there's always a stick around. Tie the end of that to whatever piece of stick or rock that I can find. That way it just anchors it a little bit. So then you just take your tomato, gently lift the leaves, and twist it around your string. And we've started trellising.
We've got our ladybugs out here working already.
Because if you look right here, this leaf is chewed up, it's touching the ground. But also right there in the crook or the armpit, as it were, we got another pretty good sized sucker right here. Now we got a couple options, and I'm going to clip this one out. Here's one of the decisions we can make. We can go ahead and put this in a glass of water, root it, and go ahead and make another tomato plant. So now that we've clipped out that sucker, I'm going to take the rest of these leaves off. That has our ladybug on there, and I want him to keep working. Transfer him over to this other plant. I'm going to just take off all of those damaged leaves. That seems extreme, but this has some really good growth on it. And a couple pieces of grass right around the bottom. Go ahead and get those out of there. Clean that up. As these get a little bigger, just continue to add some mulch in around. Now these strings were left over from last year, but this stick is just to anchor this to the ground. We just put a little knot in it, and then just sink that down into the ground. And then just take your tomato, lightly lift those leaves, and wind it around your string. Then as this tomato grows, we'll continue to wind it around the string. It'll support that tomato, keep it from falling over, keep the fruit up off the ground. There you go, we've pruned up 2, started the trellis system. Let's companion plant. I'm going to do this as we go along. Now, I like the peanuts, so I'm just going to put 2 in between. Now between these 2, I'm going to go ahead and put a couple beets. Now while I go ahead and work on this a little bit, let's go ahead and look at a couple of our friends from around the world.
Larry is just teasing us with a taste of the beautiful color that makes up part of his garden. We look forward to seeing what's to come. Thank you. Art is settling into his new place, and to celebrate, he decided to plant his bananas into the ground. Well, along with a few other goodies that he has in his new deep mulch beds. Looking good, Art. Thank you. Diane wanted to share a few morning shots of her garden as she wakes up with a cup of coffee. Springtime in Middle America. Diane, thank you for sharing. Walter started his deep mulch journey about the same time we started our channel. Been a really good friend and we've been following right along. If you say you don't have enough room to plant, look at what Walter squeezed into a 10 by 12 area. Thank you for sharing this journey, Walter. This is amazing.
Weren't those awesome? I invite you to become a member of this channel. There's no commitment. You just send in a photo now and again, help inspire others and show what's exactly possible in a garden. Hope you take me up on it. And while you're at it, please hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below, let everybody know just how much you appreciate them sharing what's going on in their garden. What I'm using the trellis with is this baling twine. It's a plastic, it's all weather, it lasts for several years. Once you get something like this set up, you don't have to ever buy it again.
That's actually why I have string all over the garden, because we're recycling this. And at the top, using a little slip knot, and we can just pull that, loosen that as the tomato grows, let the vine hang down a little bit, and then tie another slip knot. And that way, they can continue to grow 12, 15, 20 feet, and it'll allow you to have tomatoes all summer long.
And before we move down, let's take a look. We've got some cowpeas coming up here. They're gonna trellis right here. I got a nice little stand. It's gonna produce way more beans than you think.
Well, speaking of beans and trellises, we got a couple new contributors. Let's take a look. Christine is a new contributor to our channel and a first-time gardener. By the looks of these raised beds, the trellises, and all of these containers, you look like you're an old hand. We look forward to a successful harvest. Welcome and thank you for letting us share your journey. Bill is a new contributor to our channel and he recommends King Garden lima beans, but he warns you're going to need a sturdy trellis. Bill, your garden looks wonderful. Thank you and welcome.
Before we go on, I want to thank everybody that participates. I want to let you know, this is not AI generated. I'm a real person, and if you want to send photos in, it's a safe place. We learn from everything everybody's doing. I started doing this when the unpleasantness started 4 years ago. This was a way that we could all garden together and social distance. And it's turned into quite a thing. Now we can still come out into our gardens, have coffee, and share what's going on with each other. I hope you join me for that. Well, let's take a look at our determinate versus our indeterminate. Now I was gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take all the suckers off of this one. We're not doing much to this one except keeping the leaves cleaned up. And this one we're gonna leave the suckers on. This should be a really nice demonstration of exactly what happens when we trellis and we prune, or not. I don't see any suckers, we pretty much had that cleaned up. But I am gonna clip off these bottom leaves. We've already got flowers here. The flowers, they come off of the main stalk. Now one of the other nice things about this kind of trellising is when tomatoes pollinate, it just takes some wind, some vibration. Yes, some insects will help, but they don't need insects to pollinate. So being on a string like this, as the wind blows, it vibrates the entire line. It helps them all pollinate. You see all the brown and the yellow? That's because of all the rain we've had. And this one's already got a tomato coming on. So let's clip that bottom. Just clip these bottom ones off, and that's just maintenance to make sure we keep the disease from going up the plant. I'm gonna go ahead and take this one off too. There's no sucker on that, so it's not branching out. But we do have a sucker here, and it's branching, a sucker here. And this is a good sturdy stalk. It's not gonna get real tall, but we wanna give it as much support as we can. And I can't believe we got a tomato started already. Now with this Cherokee, we've already got a really nice branch and a sucker coming off of it, so we're gonna leave that there. But we are gonna take these bottom leaves off. Anything that's touching the ground needs to come off. So this one's gonna be just a little different on the trellising. Same concept. We're gonna put our first stick down in there, and we're gonna trellis one side. I'm gonna go ahead and put another one in on this other side. We're going to start supporting it also. Now when you're pruning, be very careful. Right here would be the newest growth coming out of this tomato. If you clip that off on either your determinate or your indeterminate, you're going to stop that plant from growing. Now that we have our test subjects cleaned up, you can see all these new little flower heads coming on.
Ow.
They always told me the best way to promote more flowers growing is take off the dead heads, and this one's starting to wilt back. And if I had a lapel, I'd be ready to go to the dance. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few more contributors to this channel. Of course, Florida is a little bit ahead of everybody down in Zone 9. Bruce and Daniel wanted to let us know what we can expect. They also have a few tropical delights that they wanted to share. I'm always impressed at the color of the soil underneath the deep mulch. That soil treats everything well, from carrots to tomatoes to pineapples to that Forester moringa. Thank you guys, this is awesome. Mike and Linda's Zone 8 garden will also be blessed with baby birds soon, along with the flowers and those squash. Nice batch of noonday onions. Thank you for the update, and we look forward to a giant harvest this year. Autumn has been busy helping Patrice with the spring greens. She also wanted to let us know that strawberries taste sweet whether they're grown indoors or out. Thank you, Autumn. This is wonderful.
We planted these tomatoes a little later than the ones we just trellised, so I'm just going to clean these up. We'll be ready to trellis them in the next few days. You don't have to do it all in one day, but there is something I do want to trellis right now, and I want to show you. All right, I'm positive these are zucchini, and we're going to trellis these. Last year, it was a cushaw melon, and it was just too heavy. The year before that, it was cucumbers, and that did okay, but I'd like to see how these zucchini trellis. Presetting this trellis now is a good idea before it gets any size to it.
And as this grows, we'll start stringing it up, and we'll see what we get.
Let's go ahead and help out this bean. And this is as simple as it needs to be. You just throw a string around there, put a little half hitch there so you can extend it if you need to. Take your stick, get it down in the soil as an anchor. Let's go ahead and tighten that up just a little bit. Give it just a little help. Let it know it's got a friend. I'm going to take the suckers out of this one because it's going to get pretty tall. We'll go ahead and trellis this out the top also. But I'm just going to clip out these suckers and these lower leaves. We're just going to open it up, give it some air, keep those leaves off the ground. That's as fast, I mean, you can do it that quick. Just do the same thing. We're just using that as an anchor. And this is just to give it some support.
Just look at the carrot hack carrots. Round 3 of the turnips have first true leaves. And our first corn patch is filling in nicely.
And round 2 of the corn is starting to come up. You say, no, he didn't. Yes, he did. What goes together like peas and carrots?
Now that's peas. Uh-oh. You gotta be kidding me.
All right, I'm going in.
So what do you think? Sour or sweet? Now that's what a blueberry is supposed to taste like. Until just recently, I've never been able to grow berries. If I can do it, you can do it. And it's worth it. Oh my goodness. And that's all you really have to do. Pruning, trellising, and celebrating you. You can do this too. And I hope you join us. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.